Thank you for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Millen. Today we're going to be talking with Danny Guerra, who's running for the City of South Miami City Commission. Welcome, Danny. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to be here with you again. I think this is our fourth or fifth time that that we're together on your show, and it's always a pleasure. So happy to do it.
So you've been in real estate most of your life?
I've been in real estate development and construction for over 30 years.
So why this move, and how did you get from being in the real estate arena to serving in elected office? What was that pathway?
Well, I would say that fortunately through my experience and my journey, I've been able to not only be in business but serve our community. I've been serving our community for over 25 years in different capacities, both in the private sector and in the public sector, where I've been able to help others and help guide legislation, whether it's been at a municipal level, meaning multiple cities, a county level, meaning multiple counties, or a state or a federal level. And that's all been about giving back. And whether it's been serving in that capacity or serving by volunteering for hurricane relief or other charitable events, it's just been something that's been within me to serve. So
Daniel, a few years ago, you and your team were involved in a piece of property on about 63rd Street and 62nd Avenue. Tell us about the genesis of that and what happened.
That's actually a great property. The goal was to demonstrate and create a precedence to show that there are alternative living environments and alternative ways of using infill properties, non-conforming lots, and locations where we could say this normally wouldn't be able to have a home, but this is a way to do it. And it really set a precedent not only for the city of South Miami, but for other municipalities in Dade County and throughout the state. And it was a joint effort. It wasn't me. It was a team that put it together, and I was just happy to be part of it.
And so tell us about the structure itself. To me, that was the unique part. So tell us about that.
So it was bringing a container home and everything that came with that, and the whole development process to put that together and make it a success. And there was a learning curve. There were hiccups and challenges, but it really set a precedent and a pathway to be able to do this in other places.
It seems as though you and the team were a little bit ahead of the curve in doing that, because since then, we realized that little homes and these containers have been used quite readily, including a few. About 500 feet from here, the gentleman got 2 containers. He put them on the side of his house. I might add that he doubled or tripled the size of the property, and he just sold that for $970,000. There was a small house connected to it. And if on social media, we see those all the time. They're very intriguing, and there's something sort of sexy about it. And said, we could do that. And we're reusing this property, the old sheds. So my hat's off to you. And ultimately, that property was purchased by somebody. Tell us about that person and how they got wound up with it.
So the main goal was to find ways to create housing. All right. As we all know, there's a housing challenge, there's a pricing challenge, and we're looking to find ways to create attainably priced homes for our entire community. So that was the mission there, and demonstrating that this could be done elsewhere and finding ways to scale it. So the process to be able to purchase a property, there was an application, there was an income qualification, and it wasn't just the price, but somebody had to qualify for buying this property because of the way that we had developed it. But the real mission is not so much who bought that particular property, it's how can we use this to create more opportunities within this community and other communities to create housing.
So we understand that South Miami for many years was actually had negative growth, on sort of an oxymoron, which is like, okay, had no growth. But certainly recently, in just a few blocks from here, on some county land, a beautiful building went up recently. And it is the people that used to be in the building have an opportunity to go back in there. And that housing completely changed this part of South Miami. And And it's beautiful. The second phase is going to go up. It's right next to a major school that's there. And we recognize in that this housing, it's a little pieces, one house here, one house there, one unit there, that makes all the difference. So we're going to move over to, we mentioned earlier about public safety. Why do people move into a neighborhood, including why they want to feel safe? What are some of the other reasons?
I mean, safe is important. Culture is important. Feeling at home is important. You know, we often tell folks when they're looking at buying a property, it's not so much about the cost of the property today or how much it can increase in value, but if you're going to be there a long period of time, are you going to be comfortable? And safety is a big part of that, and that's why that's a leader in my in the platform that I have running for office here in South Miami, is that we need to make sure that families and individuals can feel safe, not only for themselves but for their children, and that's safe at home, safe in parks, safe in public environments, because safety is what is the most important thing a government can provide to an individual. So that's far and first the issue that we lead with.
So we know in South Miami we have there's the county fire department, we have our police right here, we have several hospitals in the area, and a really fast response time by the police. I mean, it's really extraordinary. So let's move on a little bit. As far as South Miami has a pretty diverse population, not just in the way people look, but as far as also in their education and where the kids go to school. There's some private schools, there's some public schools. What can you do as a commission to make sure we have a balance there?
I think we need to serve our entire community. It's every neighborhood. It's every culture. It's every aspect of our community. It needs to receive the support from our leadership, and we need to continue to find ways to cultivate that, and create a unity and a blend where there's communication between the different neighborhoods and the different environments. I think that we are blessed to have such a diverse environment. That's really what South Florida is, and we need to continue to foster that. And how we can cater to it is by bringing services and businesses and other support within the community to support the different types of diversity that we have.
And what do you think are some of the pressing issues for the citizens, the people that live here, and then also the people that visit, including working here?
Housing costs, expenses are real. Obviously, we know some of the issues that maybe are outside of our scope, between taxes, insurance, and those sort of things. But there are still some things that we can do for that. There is a hardening that's available and programs that are available to help folks be able to reduce their insurance costs and other things. But the information isn't getting to the end of the line. So one thing I think that we could improve on and work with is communication and finding ways to reach more folks so that they understand that there is the Save Our Homes, the Florida Save Our Homes program, and other programs that could help reduce costs.
A lot of the cities have a public information officer, and which is very effective for the media to be able to, we got a press release, let's go cover that story or promote that press release. Are you familiar with, does the city have such a position? Do you know?
We do. The city does have that position, and we do have several platforms. For example, there's the City of South Miami has an app where you can receive information. And as I've been walking through the city and meeting a lot of the residents and in the different neighborhoods, not everybody's aware of this, and so that's some of what I'm speaking about. That we can. And by the way, the city's done a great job. Our staff is outstanding in the city, and our leadership, from the mayor down, all the commissioners. We really have a lot of great folks in our city, but getting the exposure of the communication and the different places where you can find information is a bit about what we're talking about. Is how do we get that out to more folks? Obviously,
it takes a whole mix to be able, to do that. So we have coming up Halloween coming up. We have Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Typically, the city at Thanksgiving is giving away turkeys this year, and every year. You've been involved before. You've seen that kind of activities. What's it like for you to be able to give something to somebody, not expecting anything back, other than maybe a smile, and maybe not even a smile? What does that do for you?
It's extremely fulfilling. Like I said, I didn't start caring about our community today because I'm running for office. I've been serving our community for over 25 years, and not just here in South Miami, but throughout Florida and other places. And volunteering and not expecting anything in return is fulfilling to me, but just comes natural. Whether we're doing beach cleanups, hurricane relief, or another charitable event, it's not about what you receive, it's about what you're giving.
At some point in your life, from the time you were this big, maybe younger, did you start recognizing that those are things that you wanted to do? And at what age was that?
Michael, I would say that I think at a very young age, from where I would volunteer, whether it was in church or in school, in first grade and younger, or whether it was when I became a young adult and we would go into schools that were less fortunate and needed mentors, and we would go in and mentor a class and give back. I found that very fulfilling. You know who one of my mentors, Mike Carricart, actually would lead those charges with us and taught me a lot about giving back. And we would go into the inner schools in downtown Miami and volunteer our time and just give to that community, and it was outstanding.
So we know that the little kids are always watching people around them. When you were little, who would you look up to and say, gee, look at these people, look what they're doing?
I mean, I just mentioned one, which is definitely somebody that I've looked up to for a long time and has been incredibly supportive, and I admire a lot. But there were many. I mean, obviously my father was somebody that I admired a lot. Fortunately, he did pass in 2017. But there's been several mentors that I've been fortunate to have. I won't name them all because there's many, but I have been blessed to have a lot of folks that have helped me, and I think that's why I want to help others as well.
It's terrific. I think we each have in our lives somebody that made a big difference, and I maybe one day that one of your children are going to go, let me tell you about something that happened 25 years ago. I was watching so and so we hope that we can be an example. And I don't think that we do it to be an example. We do it because it's the right thing, for each of us to do. So, should you become elected, one of the things you need to try to do, I suppose, is to balance the rights of the homeowners in an area with the property rights of a commercial development. We know you've been in the arena for a long time, but how do you keep that delicate balance?
Oh, that's a great question. So, interestingly enough, I think it's been posed that that because I come from a construction, development, real estate background, I want to build buildings, and that could be furthest from the truth. I'm more about building communities. We need a balance between residential density, commercial density, and infrastructure so that we can create a symbiotic relationship between the three and have a functional environment and an enjoyable environment. And I think that's been some of the challenge that has happened in some of our history, where some folks say, build this building over here and build this building over there, and let's just hope that all works together. And that's not really a master plan approach. If we create a live, work, learn, health, pedestrian friendly and walkable environment, we could actually have a self-sustaining downtown and a self-sustaining environment that will be functional. And that's the mission, is to create something that will be enjoyable for all.
So we know when the Shops of Sunset, I think that's still the name of it, gets done, and the old Winn-Dixie property, when they start having live people going there, boots on the ground, walking around South Miami, what a difference that's going to make to the stores that employ people, right? So they can certainly make a difference, with that. We frequently do events at Casa Cuba. Why? Because that at one point, way before the other one, that's going to be the center of attention right over there. There's going to be a grocery store downstairs. So people from the whole neighborhood are going to come to South Miami. And we know it's tough for the older folks, excluding myself, to say there's change. Yes, things do change. And we see that the Metro Rail station, the most southern end, that building is almost complete there. That's for student housing. And what a thrill it is when we see kids walking down the street with a girlfriend, boyfriend, and their dog. I go, how great is that? And if you've been around long enough, you go, no, don't walk near the post office. And now it's certainly, all the time, to do that. And tell us about some other projects that you're familiar with that are in the works, if you could.
Well, it's not just projects in the works. I mean, obviously, we know that Sunset Place is a marquee focus to the process of what's happening in downtown South Miami. It's a 10-acre site, right? So we need to pay clear attention to how it moves forward and how we can help that be successful to create success in the rest of the city. But going back to what I was saying about creating balance, I will tell you that I may be the only person running in South Miami right now that spoke against the building being built in downtown. I have made sure not to support just everything. It's about supporting the smart things, about the right things. And the reason I did oppose that one project is because I saw that it wasn't good for the city. It wasn't good for the citizens. It was just forcing another issue and at the same time divesting our city of an asset that's producing money for the taxpayers. And so I happened to be the lone person that stood up and spoke against it, but I was okay to have the courage to do that because it was the right thing for our community. And fortunately, the commission agreed with me and found their way to also not move it forward. And I think it was the right decision because it was the wrong time to focus on that. Right now, I think our focus should be on creating that balance of a master plan in downtown South Miami so that it could be enjoyable for our community.
So often we hear the neighbors saying, not in my backyard. There's a term that doesn't matter what it's called, but people want the way that it was, all right, and the way that it could be. So what are some things that you would like to see done? If you could push the magic button and you and your team, the whole city commission, that's terrific. And let's go ahead and do that. What might be a couple things that you'd like to see?
So I think that my background would add value to the commission, not only my construction development and real estate background, but my background in serving our community. I've had a lot of experience in the legislative process, whether again it's been at the municipal, county, state, or federal level, and so I'm not going to be learning on the job. I'll be able to arrive immediately and help our mayor and fellow commissioners along with not only experience but relationships that we've created over time to access beneficial results for our city and our citizens. And that I think would be the mission. Some of the local things that I would really like to focus on, I think our tree canopy is incredibly important to protect. And in some way we've been protecting it by penalty, and I believe there's an opportunity to find other ways, maybe protecting it by incentive. Because it seems like right now people are okay with paying penalties. Just put it on the bottom line. It'll work out. And maybe what we need to do is incentivize the protection of that canopy so that we can, in the future, and looking 10, 20, 30 years down the road, say, look how great it was what we did then to what the canopy is today.
We know not too many years ago, the city decided to put up very nice street signs and then started putting up traffic circles. And then what you realize in those areas where there's a lot of traffic circles, the canopy gets better. We see it all the time back here on the west side of 62nd Avenue and behind the hospital over there. And that canopy is very important. And I have a truck, so I'm acutely aware of what's over my head. But really, the city has done a good job in moving towards that. And let's talk about Donnie Fussell Park, about what's going on there now, what's available for the citizens. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Listen, Dante Fasel Park is one of the great parks in our city. It's had a lot of attention, but I would say that we have a lot of great parks in our city. Palmer Park's an outstanding park. South Miami Park's an outstanding park. I actually learned how to swim in South Miami Park when it was a YMCA, and it was wonderful to have that experience there, and now see the revitalization and be part of helping the revitalization of South Miami Park. But I think we need to give all of our parks its due attention. We've had wonderful improvements in several of them, but I'd like to see that be well uniformed. The fields need attendance, the infrastructure needs attendance, and we need to focus on our programs too. I love our soccer program. My son's part of it. He's been part of it since he was 3 years old, and he's been enjoying it. He's now 10, so he's part of the South Miami Soccer League. But we have our football leagues, our basketball leagues, and other opportunities to create programs for our children. Often folks say, we need to, take care of our youth and keep them out of trouble. And well, the way to keep them out of trouble is keep them busy. And if we create more programs for our citizens to enjoy and our youth to enjoy, then we'll be able to see families prosper as well.
So we know that over at Murray Park, on that property is the South Miami Children's Clinic. Shout out to Dr. Tina Carroll Scott, who's been doing
amazing
a tremendous
program.
job.
Wonderful what she's doing there.
She's been there over 17 years. Gave up a lucrative pediatric practice on Miami and Bal Harbor, and she's got my vote. She is one of South Miami's unsung heroes, and there's lots of stories about what she has done way beyond her call. And if you have any folks who got any clean clothes, feel free to drop them off. Make sure they're packaged very nicely. And a while back, we gave some clothes, and she actually sent me a picture of the family that got them. I was like really moved. I went, oh my goodness. And to see that somebody was there doing it and caring, and then to see the impact of that. And certainly there's something about doing it anonymously. But we know that there's so many people in this community that need help, just like every other community, but today's about South Miami. So right now, let's get on to transportation, mobility around South Miami. One of the things that the city's offering is the freebie. Tell us about that.
So I actually attended a transportation meeting the other day where it was great because we were at the county. We were with the mayor, and we got to hear about how the county was evolving its transportation, and we got to hear from citizens about their concerns about some of the changes, because as things change, we need to adapt. And the freebie is great. I'd like to see it expand. I'd like to see it cross over and bleed into other cities, neighboring cities. I believe the mayor championed that, and unfortunately the commission didn't finally approve it, but it's important. Look, we lost the Winn-Dixie in downtown. We need to make sure that freebie can get to the Winn-Dixie on 67th Avenue and Bird. We need to make sure that we can help our citizens have access to the services they need. So freebie should be expanded. The Metro Connect, there's a program that a lot of folks don't know, and again, this is getting the information in the line, is let's get the Metro Connect more exposed and people more involved in it, and understanding they can download that app and have access to connecting to the other transportation. The Metro Rail is great. We have definitely a noise challenge with it, and some folks would say, well, that's not a city issue, that's a county issue. Well, as your commissioner, I would say I should be the loudest voice for our citizens at the county, for our citizens. And so I think we need to have that conversation, because people should not have to suffer the noise when their homes abut the Metro Rail. Sometimes
Citizens feel like it doesn't matter, and I think a perfect example is when the group of people came out against the Miami wildlife thing down by Metro Zoo, where the county commission finally said no, we don't want it. And recently, the state decided they wanted to develop some golf courses, and so many people object to it. They said, no, let's leave those parks by themselves.
Are you speaking about the 9 parks?
Parks throughout the state.
They wanted the 9 parks.
Yes.
So I'm so happy you brought that up. And it brings another point as to.
We have 2 minutes left.
Oh wow, that I have so much to say. it brings up so much of why I'm not the person that I'm being painted to be as a developer and a realtor. I took time out of my campaign to go to our governance meetings in Orlando for Florida Realtors to draft language so that we could speak against this, to help our team and a public policy team draft language so that we could take a position to speak against the 9 parks. And we were successful. We weren't the only one at the table. We wanted to make sure be at the table. So that's another example of something that we did to protect our environment and to protect land. We're as realtors, we're stewards of the land. We're not about building buildings. We're about building communities.
And I think that it's important when you have that ability to do that. It's your responsibility to speak up, because if you're not doing it and nobody can see you, all right, you sort of created an impotent group of people. But if you can empower them by saying, "This is how you do that," so my hat's off to you and your team to be
Michael,
able to do
you
that.
did say that we're short on time, so I do want to add something more, because at the end of the day, our focus here is I'm running for office in the city of South Miami, and I wanted to explain a bit about why I'm running for office. A lot of people look at me and they say, he's successful. He's a successful businessman. He's accomplished a lot in the association. He has leadership roles throughout the state, and in the business, in the industry. But I'm really running because I am an individual who's had challenges. I had a child at an early age. I understood what it was to become a father early. I had a lot of stresses taking over a family business. I did at a very young age. I coped with those stresses in challenging ways. I made mistakes. I got in trouble. I had to overcome a lot. And that's really why I'm running, because I got a second chance. I've been able to be successful. And I want to be that example to our community, to our citizens, that we all can get a second chance. And there might be some folks that are serving on the commission that have never had a challenge, have never had that obstacle. But that's made me who I am today. That's made the man that's sitting in front of you, and those experiences I think are going to add value. So aside from my accomplishments in leadership, I think my accomplishments in overcoming obstacles in life are going to bring a lot to the table. And I think that is incredibly important to add that aspect to our dias.
So that's giving you some inner strength and inner peace to be able to handle that.
Absolutely. I am blessed that with the support of others in my family, we have been able to face difficult challenges, difficult obstacles, embarrassing moments, and we've overcome them. And overcoming that has given me the strength to be able to be the lone person to stand up and speak against that one building, because it made no sense.
Sometimes it's hard to get up there and put your head out there, but once you get comfortable with being that uncomfortable, that you can do it and again set the example.
Michael, I was actually told I shouldn't speak against something if I'm running for office because I might lose votes. And I said, if I can't speak against something I don't believe in because I'm running for office, I shouldn't run for office.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because Ron McGill, who was told by his bosses, don't stand up against that. And this is what he said publicly. He said, I've been devoted 40 years of my life to protecting animals. If I don't stand up for this, then who am I?
Absolutely.
So my hat's off to you, and being able to say, I need to do that because that's me, and I'm willing to take a chance and tell people I'm here, and it may not be popular, but I'm going to do that. So we got 1 minute left. If you'd like to, you can talk right into that camera right over there and tell people, we got the camera on there, tell people why they should vote for you.
I'm running for office because I want to serve. I'm not running to win, I'm running to serve. And I understand the process of serving because I've been doing it for over 25 years. I didn't start caring about our community today. I've been doing it for a long time. And so I'm not a politician. I haven't been elected before, but I do have the experience to serve. And I think that's what differentiates me from the field. I won't be learning on the job. I already know the process of the legislative process at the different layers of government. And I can help bring valuable support to our city. And I want to serve to support our entire community, not just part of it. I've lived here for over 20 years. My children grew up here. We're fortunate. My daughter graduated University of Miami with a law degree, and our son goes to David Fairchild Elementary here in the community. And we plan to live here for another 20 years. So I'm running to make sure that we can keep our community safe, enjoyable for the years to come.
Daniel Guerra, thank you very much for being here.
Thank
Folks, if you want to find out more about Daniel, you can go online and you can find him everywhere. And also, the last day to vote is November
5th.
5th. There's early
But
voting.
let's not wait till the last day.
Early voting before that.
It could rain.
And then
Anything could
there's absentee ballots. When you get your absentee ballot, fill it out then and mail it, all right? Because we know what happens.
Yes, sir.
Okay, folks, thanks very much for joining us. Remember, take care of yourselves and your family. Have a good day.
Thank you.